In my opinion, Sculpture is still one of the best instruments in Logic. And one of the reasons that it is still by far my favorite is because of the way that the sound generation takes place. It isn't just a simple 1, 2, 3 oscillator or other sound source that get all mixed together. This actually has a system where the more you add, everything changes because they're actually interacting with each other. So we have 3 different objects on this one patch. Let me play just a little bit of this track with them on it. So as it goes into different ranges, it sounds so different but still the same, much in the same way that if you play a saxophone in a low register or a high register, they sound almost like different instruments, but you can tell they're still a saxophone. This just has an amazing way to be able to create these sounds. So let's look at these 3 objects real quick. Let's turn them all off. Let's solo out this track. Go back to the beginning for a moment. Now 1, 2, and 3, these little arrows here represent the 3 objects. And this is the modeled string, as it's called here. It's not really a string because it is so much more with our material matrix over on the right. But we have 2 pickups as well, the A pickup and the B pickup, and these can be moved. And the sound generator objects are activating that string in various different places in relationship to the pickup. So this is already fairly complex, and you can move these around to get different sounds. So the first one is a bow type sound. And you'll hear some sounds there that when I add the second in, you no longer have all of that low richness that object 1 had, because object 2 is now also interacting with the string, and they're not just 2 different interactions that are being added together, like mixed together. They're actually put together in this environment, and so the string changes how it sounds based on both of them activating it. This one's a bow wide instead of just the normal bow. And then the third object is a bouncing type. So it's more like things that are dropped on the string and they bounce along it. Like little pebbles. Let's listen to this up in the higher range. So instead of just this real sterile instrument that acts exactly as predicted, this is much more of an actual instrument which brings something to the table as you create patches and as you do things. Now, we didn't even get into some of these other knobs along here. The VeloSense, the timbre, the strength, the variation amounts, all of these play into how these objects are affecting the string, and really can come up with some interesting variations with this, with the overall strength of these. All of these then tie into the material area, which is that actual string. So we could change this very easily and have, even though we leave the bow wide, and the bouncing, it could sound very different if we move this around inside the actual material area. Anyway, I just want to talk mostly about how this interplay of these objects, how even though you might initially assume that it's just going to be each of them kind of mixed together, it's actually each of them sound different. And when you combine them, there's a whole new thing created as they're activating and controlling that string. Anyway, this is just one of those things that I could talk about forever because I love Sculpture. I'm so excited for Logic or Apple to come out with a new interface for this, because that is probably the biggest downside, is how difficult this interface is actually to use. Anyway, hope you're having a good week, and I hope you enjoyed this little look at Sculpture, and I'll see you later on.